As a foreign correspondent for NBC News, he covered war, drug cartels, child brothels, and natural disasters. Then his own storm hit, a broken back, a cancer diagnosis, and a prognosis that put him at death's door. Brad Willis turned to yoga, which he says saved his life. Willis, who goes by the name Bhava Ram, chronicles his story in his new book, Warrior Pose. Ram joins me now. You covered some of the most important historic events, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, and natural disasters. While it must have been exhilarating to cover, you also saw the horrors of war. It must have taken its toll. How do you think all of that affected your health?
Well, you know, I think that it didn't affect my health negatively. In fact, it made me happy for what I have in my life when I saw all of this chaos and suffering and disasters in the world. And as a correspondent, as opposed to someone who is a combatant in a conflict, I also felt like I could make a difference. Like the more that I got that news out, the more people might seek a greater justice for those who were the victims of injustice, and greater help and aid for those who were the victims of, living in refugee camps or facing great natural disasters or in the war like I saw in the Persian Gulf War.
How did you end up injuring your back, in fact, breaking your back?
On a vacation. Of all things, I had just come out of Afghanistan and I went down to the Bahamas, and the last night that I was there on a little island, a storm came up and I was closing a storm window, the handles broke, I fell 12 feet to the base of my spine and cracked my vertebra. But I continued and worked for 7 years, just chewing painkillers, more different war zones and momentous events that I was covering, and drinking a little more every night like foreign correspondents is often want to do, and just pushing forward until that vertebra split open one day when I was in the Philippines, and that was the end. I fell on the ground and ultimately had a failed back surgery.
So in fact, you were diagnosed with what is called a surgically irreparable spine. You were in a back brace. You were also diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer and weren't given long to live. And then you're at your 50th birthday party, and there's a moment between you and your 2-year-old son that was very pivotal. What happened?
Well, I was diagnosed with the cancer several years after I was already in the body brace. I had lost this great career. I was depressed and dark and didn't have much reason to live except for that boy. And when the cancer diagnosis came, I wasn't going to live. And then he crawled up on my lap. He finally saw in his own little way that Daddy was different, and he said with a tear in his eye, "Get up, Daddy." And it hit me in a place that I didn't know that I had. And I thought, at least I need to get off all these medications, out of my anger and fear and anxiety and self-pity, and one day someone will tell that little boy, "Your father died with dignity." And that led me on a journey in which I ultimately found yoga, the first system of integrative medicine ever created. Very complex, much more than the yoga postures most of us think is yoga.
In fact, we have a photograph of you in the warrior pose, this photograph up here. This picture shows you as a very different man than the war correspondent you described earlier. What made you turn to yoga?
It was a lifeline. Somehow I had an inner sense, as jaded and cynical as I was as a journalist, that this was my path to healing. And it was a yoga of massive fasting, of organic veganism, of breath work and meditations and visualizations, and rethinking my whole life, along with yoga postures, and even cultivating a profound gratitude for having lost the greatest career that I ever dreamed of having, for having a broken back, for having stage 4 cancer, because they all became catalysts ultimately for my positive growth and my own personal transformation.
Now, this book is about your personal journey, but you also say it's for each one of us. Explain that.
This is a story, I think, of all of us. We all have a great inner power from which we've largely been disenfranchised by a very hectic, stressful culture and mass media and consumerism, but we have that power. Each of us has a capacity, we were born with it, to overcome great obstacles, to heal as much as we possibly can given our circumstance, to change our lives and to live our truth and manifest our fullest potential. And no matter what, we have that in us. No matter what we're facing, if we have faith in ourselves, and we look deep inside, and we're willing to do the work it takes to change our life from top to bottom, miracles can happen.
Bhava, Ram, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you.